decided to decrease the size of the Jewish national home, and therefore they separated Transjordan. You can see on the map that the League of Nations, later becoming the United Nations, approved the changed mandate which took place or took effect in 1923. As you can see, everything from east to the Jordan River became what was then called Transjordan, and the land of Israel, designated for the Jewish people, remained what you see on the left side of the map. Now, from 1923, the British are still, executing their mandate from the United Nations, and in 1947, on a very historic day following the Holocaust, in 29th of November 1947, the League of Nations takes a historic vote, and they decide to partition the land of Israel. You can see on the map, the orange part is the Arab state that will be joined to Transjordan. The blue is the Jewish state. Now, what's interesting to see is that the blue parts are the parts of the land that are uninhabited, swamps, desert, unusable. All the good parts of the land are part of Transjordan. Now, interestingly, if you look on the left-hand side, you can see that the city of Gaza was designated to the Transjordan or Arab part of the partition. The Jewish population accepted the partition plan. The Arabs absolutely refused. And in fact, 5 surrounding countries declared war.
Your position is a hostile boat operating out there.
And in this interim period, there was population very threatened.
We just lost objective Alpha.
The state of Israel. Following that, 5 different armies invaded Israel from all sides and attacked the young state. The UN that had supposedly some troops, they were just quickly overtaken, and it began as some sort of a survival war for the small Jewish state, less than 1 million Jews at the time. However,
We now have objective Bravo under control. We've lost control of objective Charlie.
Transjordan Kingdom, and then you can see in red what we call now the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip remained under Egyptian. Moving on from there, 1967, and then at that time was the 6-Day War. Now, importantly, in November 1966, an Egyptian-Syrian defense agreement was signed. Now, that was the situation in 1967. In 1966, actually the year before, Egypt and Syria signed an agreement, like a defense agreement, that they're going to defend each other against the aggression of Israel. Now, in May of 1967, Egypt has decided to block the entire straits that was a very important trade position for Israel, and by that they moved forward in a miraculous, swift 6-day war. The young nation of Israel has conquered the entire Sinai Peninsula, including the Gaza Strip, from Egypt. Our military has conquered parts of Transjordan from Jordan and parts of Syria. That changed the dynamics in the area completely. From this point on, at that point, the Gaza Strip, the city of Gaza, has become under
We've
Israeli
lost objective Bravo.
the period between 1967 and 1979 was dramatic in various ways. After the 6-Day War, Israel tried to
I have eyes on a hostile machine gunner east of your location.
for peace with the surrounding Arab nations. They refused, and actually, in fact, in October of 1973, a surprise war by Syria, Egypt, in coordination with other Arab nations around, started against Israel. That took place at the holiest day of the year in Israel, the day
Alpha has been
It was a
neutralized.
very, very difficult war, and Israel lost many lives. It was very bleak at the beginning, but eventually Israel pushed
taking
back
objective
surrounding
Alpha.
countries to the borders that you see. Following that, in March 1979, the leader of the Arab world and a sworn
I've spotted
enemy
the
of Israel,
anti-tank soldier operating to your east.
has decided to sign a peace agreement with Israel. The agreement was that Israel returns all the land, you see the Sinai Peninsula on the map, to Egypt in return for peace. And Israel was willing to do that and said, and we're going to give you all the land, including the city of Gaza and the Gaza Strip. The Egyptians absolutely refused to receive the Gaza Strip back, and the government of Israel accepted the refusal, and the Gaza Strip remained under Israeli control following the peace agreement with Egypt. Now, from 1978 to 2004, there were different things that were going on. I mean, in the Oslo peace accords during the early 90s, Israel tried repeatedly to give the Gaza Strip back to Egypt, but Egypt kept resisting and refusing. In 1993, Israel and the PLO, up to that point, a terrorist organization. At that time, Israel and the PLO signed the Oslo Accords that have been calling for Palestinian administration of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank town of Jericho. Those agreements were implemented in 1994. Now, Israeli forces decided to withdraw from Gaza, leaving the new Palestinian National Authority, National Guard of the Palestinians, to administer and police the city of Gaza and the Gaza Strip. In fact, the state of Israel provided weapons to the Palestinian Authority to complete this task. So that began in 1994. Following through to a very formative period in the Gaza Strip between 2005 and 2007. Now, in 2005, the government of Israel implemented its unilateral disengagement from the Gaza Strip. Now, at that point, it's important to say most of the policing is actually done by the Palestinian Authority, but there are still farmers and different kinds of towns and villages of Jewish people, of Israelis in the Gaza Strip. That was the time. This engagement means that Israel is withdrawing all of its military and all of its civilians off and away of the Gaza Strip. Now, in response to Israel's unilateral action, Egypt imposed a blockade on the Gaza Strip, and following by Israel doing that as well. And that has been the situation for a while at that period. Something very importantly that took place among the Palestinian people happened in 2006 and 2007. In 2006, the Palestinian Authority had elections. And in the parliament elections, the PLO suffered a massive and decisive loss to Hamas. Up to that point, a small extremist Islamic group. And following that, 2007, a bloody war, bloody conflict, Hamas seized by force, seized control of the Gaza Strip from the Palestinian Authority. And that has been the situation since 2007. So there were elections where Hamas actually won the majority, but forcefully overturned the PLO and took control of the Gaza Strip in 2007. Now, at that time, from 2007, 2008, all the way to 2023, to our present day, there have been multiple rounds of attacks against Israeli civilians, direct terror attacks, where individuals were attacked, and also different rounds of shooting from the Gaza Strip to different Israeli cities,
We now control objective
villages,
Delta.
and hurting many, killing many. That was when the Iron Dome anti-missile system was developed and applied in Israel. That was the situation in the last 15 years. On October 7th,
I have a visual on
this
light
year,
armor north of
Hamas
your
launched
location.
a coordinated land, sea, and air assault. It happened on
Lost
the same
objective Delta.
Memorial date as the Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement War of 1973, 3 years exactly, and it happened on another holy day.
Come on, advise on a hostile LAV
last day of
east
the
of your
Feast of
position.
Tabernacles. During that surprise attack, over 400 Israelis were murdered in those attacks. Children, women, elderly people, more than 200 people were kidnapped to the Gaza Strip, and many were wounded. The following day, Israel declared war for the first time
Looks like
against
there's a
Hamas.
sniper operating
This was
north
the
of your
first time
location.
war was declared, formal war, since the Yom Kippur War in 1973. Over the past 5 weeks, we've seen the Israeli military taking over the city of Gaza. This war is not against the Palestinian people. It's evil, Hamas,
Personnel have been spotted operating.
and that's the state of Israel.
We have taken objective Bravo.
Since 2001, there has not been a single year without rockets attacking cities and civilians in Israel. As you can see, every year was a dramatic increase. And in response to those increases, the Israeli government and the Israeli army has responded very effectively. What you see on the right hand of the screen is particularly interesting. Try to imagine. This map signifies the time you have from the time the rocket is launched all the way till you have to run into your safe room. Okay, so it's anywhere from 8 seconds to a minute and a half. That's been the reality in Israel for the last 20-some years. So as we come to summarize this short history of Gaza, what's important for me
Advise
to
on a
mention
hostile plane.
is
Hostile plane north of your
once
location.
during this entire period was the military operation initiated by Israel. Israel never started conflict. It was always started by missile shooting
Listen
at
up.
civilian
Spot a hostile
cities,
vehicle just
towns,
east of your location.
and so on in Israel. Now, throughout this period, that's not as important information, aid and relief came from Israel to the Gaza Strip and the city of Gaza. So it was everything from emergency surgeries, medical supplies, power from the electric company, water, fuel.